Thank you. So this is a first for me tonight, and whenever you're doing something for the first time, it's a little bit scary, and I gotta tell you, it's a little scary up here tonight, but it's also very thrilling. And the nice thing is, if people know it's your first time, they always want you to do really well, but they don't expect you to do great. Like the first time I had sex. Wait. I got better with practice. But that first time, it was still a thrill for me for the entire 3 minutes that it lasted. Now, I'm a bank examiner. For most of you out there, that doesn't mean much. But if you're sitting next to a banker, you probably saw them do this. That's the effect we have on them. So about a month ago, I was at a bank examiners conference, and no, it wasn't in Las Vegas, but they did bring in some great bank executives to talk to us and tell us all about the state of the banking industry. And when it came time for the audience to ask questions, I stood up and I asked them this question. I said, would you rather be covered in leeches from head to toe, or would you rather see a team of bank examiners coming into your bank to start a bank exam? Now, one of the bank presidents paused just for a moment, and then he replied, well, I'd rather have the leeches, of course. It doesn't take 2 weeks to get rid of leeches. And besides, they don't automatically come back a year later. So bank examiners, we're not exactly well liked by the bankers, and I understand we have a few in here tonight. I hope they don't have any tomatoes. But a couple of weeks ago, an unusual thing happened. I actually got invited to interview for a job that I hadn't applied for at all. And the interview was going pretty well. I thought I was doing a good job. But all throughout the interview, I kept looking at the guy that was interviewing me and thinking, there's something odd about this guy. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something strange about him. And then it hit me all at once. The guy looked he looked just like Satan. And he was real eager to hire me. He said he'll give me 3 times what I'm currently making, but I have to start immediately because he has a broken furnace. You know, the pay sounded great, but I had to be honest with the guy. I don't know how to fix a furnace. I'm a bank examiner. He said, I know, but we have a lot of bankers in hell, and I don't want them feeling any relief while we get the new 2 billion BTU furnace installed. So I obliged. I took the position. You know, and after they got the furnace installed, I was actually thinking about staying on a little bit longer because the pay was great. You know, bank examiners, we don't make much, but 3 times 0 or very little is a lot more. And actually, Satan, you know, he wasn't the worst boss I ever had. So I went to him and I asked him if I could stay on. And he sadly shook his head and he said, Rob, you're doing a great job, but I'm actually starting to pity the bankers, so I'm going to have to let you go. So a few years ago, I actually did volunteer for Junior Achievement. If you've never done it, I highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun. I got to go into a classroom full of kids, tell them all about what it's like to be a bank examiner. You know, what kind of skills and training it takes to be a bank examiner and choose that as a career. And I think I was actually inspiring some of them to consider it because towards the end of my talk, several of them were leaning back in their chairs and kind of slowly closing their eyes. I could tell they were just dreaming about how great it would be to be a bank examiner one day. But we did have a little bit of fun after I woke those guys up. We had a lot of fun. We played a little game with them where they learned life skills. And it reminds me a lot of a shorter version of the old board game, the Game of Life. Do you guys remember playing that game? I used to love to play that game as a kid. Maybe one of the reasons is because your game piece looks like a car, and you have a little peg that you stick in there that makes you the driver of the car. So I enjoyed that. But as you go through this game, you're basically going through the different stages of life. And the way that you win the game of life, the way you win at life, is at the end of the game, you have the most money. So it was sort of an educational game, right? Kind of like Grand Theft Auto maybe is for kids today. Not sure what life skills they're learning. I think we'll see them in the news soon, though. But I think they need to update these board games, make them more relevant, more realistic, and continue to be an education for kids today. For example, in the Game of Life, I don't know if you remember this, but every single person in the game of life automatically gets married. There's no choice, it's automatic. And nobody gets divorced. I mean, how realistic is that? So I think they should update this game. And the way I would have them updated is, you may or may not get the opportunity to get married during the game. But if you choose to get married, then from that point forward, every single decision you make, you have to make it jointly with the player to your left. I gotta be honest, I don't know how well that would work or if it would work at all, but hey, that's the way it's been in all of my marriages. And they should have a deck of cards that say stuff happens, and you should have to draw cards from there frequently throughout the game because that's what life is like, stuff happens. And every time you draw a card, it'd be some sort of random event that is unexpected and you have to deal with it. I know I've had several of those in my life here recently. But for example, you could draw a card and it says, get divorced. Okay, the good news is when you draw that card, you don't have to make decisions jointly anymore because you're single, right? The bad news is you're gonna lose half your assets. Alimony and child support will be deducted every time you pass a payday. And you'll get annoying emails from your ex for the rest of your life. At least that's the way it's been with all of my divorces. But before I was a bank examiner, I actually was a banker. And I wrote a little song about that. I want to share it with you now. Thank you. This is not an electric ukulele, but hopefully you can hear it. When I was a banker, many moons ago, I could hang with the best of them. Oh boy, don't you know, now that I'm a bank examiner, I tell the bankers what to do. It doesn't pay as well, but I'm just trying to get through. Oh, I got the blues. Yeah, I got the blues. It doesn't pay as well, but I'm just trying to get through. I got the former banker, bank examiner blues. Now, being a bank examiner is so hard to do. You gotta do financial analysis, check compliance with regulations too. But back when I was a banker, life was so sweet. I could take a long lunch, be on the golf course by 3. Now I got the blues. Yeah, I got the blues. I could take a long lunch, be on the golf course by 3. I got the former banker, bank examiner blues. I'm Rob Moran. Thank you very much.